Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Ryan Smith. This is ModX Network Voices, where we interview experts in the offsite construction sector. And I'm joined with my partner, Ivan Rupnik, who's here on the call. Ivan, you can say hello.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Hi, everybody.
Thanks for coming. And we have two guests today, 2-for-1 special, which is really wonderful to have Ralph and Pedro Tavares. Ralph is owner and operates a structural engineering firm that supports the offsite and in particular modular construction sector. And his son, Pedro, is a head of special projects there at Tavares Associates. So welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys.
Good morning. Yeah, happy to be here and thanks for the invitation.
Lots of experience in the industry. They're located in Southern California, as you can see from Pedro's beautiful background there. It's a lovely morning in San Diego, I think is where you're at, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'd invite you to share a little bit about your company and yourselves and what you've been working on over these years. And then we'll have some questions afterwards. Please go ahead, Ralph.
Okay, so so we are located in San Diego. I work as an engineer in the modular industry since 1987. I start with working for manufacturers throughout the country. We pretty much start in New York, Connecticut area, New England, and gradually I moved to California. And we have been in California since 1999. I opened my consultant business in 2002, 2001, 2002. And we carry a PE license in 43 states currently. We are being members of the Modular Institute since, I don't know, the early 2000s. I am a trustee of the MBI Educational Foundation, educating architects and the general public about benefits of modular construction. I am a 5-year former MBI board member. I am also a recipient of 2013 Outstanding Achievement Award for contributions towards the modular industry by the MBI. We are winner of numerous MBI awards of distinction for projects as direct recipients and affiliate. And I'm a contributor to the ICC guideline for the safe use of ISO intermodal shipping containers that you see on the right side of this screen. We are doing also, I'm also a task force member now, writing 2 chapters for that we hope to be in the 2024 IBC codes on modular construction. Right. So the firm was established in 2002, like I said, serve the needs of our modular clientele. We roughly do 300 projects, about 300 projects a year, all modular, from tiny homes to hospitals. So, I mean, we have done a lot of almost every type of occupancy. Several designs from multifamily, 5-story type 5 and type 2 over concrete podium. We have this in, basically we go to 5 stories very easily. And we have studies concluded to high rise up to 24 stories, but yet to be built. We have not built one yet. Regarding offsite prefabricated and modular, in US, there are 35 states that have a modular program inspection. We are outering 2000, I mean, we're task force now doing 2 chapters for 2024 IBC, and that will affect the procurement methods for modular projects. So I think this will be very, a game change for the industry to have these IBC chapters on it. The benefits of state-approved inspections is the 35 states that have a modular program. The off-site portion of projects are plain checked by the state level and often by certified engineering firms. The advantage is that these firms are very familiar with off-site construction. Plan review is completed more quickly, approvals are getting less time, and submits to the authority having jurisdiction, the local ones, with a state certified approved set of drawings, precludes local plan check. The off-site portion of projects are inspected by the state or the certified at the plant. Inspectors visit the factory at certain milestones for plan check, depends on the state regulation. Modules arrive, approved, inspected with a state certified stamp, and the local authority cannot re-inspect. I mean, they actually have to respect that threshold. The challenge in modular project procurement is that the states of the modular program, the submittal The submittal for approval must be made by the modular manufacturer. That's pretty much standard everywhere. And licensed professionals like us, architects, engineers, cannot apply for a modular program permit. This is true in Washington, this is true in California, this is true in most of the states. This challenge the design build procurement method, typical in offsite projects. So we have seen developers that actually, when approach us to do a modular project, they actually don't like that. They feel is a poker with a card. The cards are marked. I mean, they cannot be doing a procurement in the way that they do a site build, and this actually is a problem for the industry. So the benefits to have a manufacturer involved early, we praise that. One of the plans can be developed for a specific manufacturing nuance. One can take advantage of the manufacturer supply chain. The manufacturer have a very good building buying power. They can actually, you can take advantage of that. And you can specify the materials common to that manufacturer. They usually have a good range of materials. The challenge is that the approval belongs to the manufacturer, not the architect or the engineer or the developer. So if you change a manufacturer, you can incur in fees, or the approvals may be void entirely when you switch manufacturers, and can be especially concerning during code update years. So we have cases this year that actually update from 2016 to 2019 IBC, that we actually have to be very creative how to do that. I mean, you cannot change too much the envelope, incurring energy upgrades. So we need to respect a few things in order to do that. That would be completely different if actually the approval belonged to the design professional or to the developer. So we are trying to actually implement this on the 2024 Ibc Modular Design Chapters. They are going to address and allow design professionals to pull modular permits through states. And that will be actually a game changer, like I said. Although, just because on the code, it doesn't mean that the state is going to actually accept doing their regulation, because they have to pass by law the code. And they actually can say, well, we are going to exclude these, or the modular program, the state might not adopt that. But at least is a starting point to have on the code, right? 2024 IBC Modular Chapters are the two chapters that we are trying to implement: the standard for offsite construction, planning, design, fabrication, assembly, and the standard offsite construction inspection and regulatory compliance. So you see these changes over there. Design consideration in modular, I would say shipping constraints, modular layout, assemblies grow with mate lines and floor ceiling, and site access are restricted to deliveries, staging, and crane must be considered. So we need to consider these three things. The shipping constraints is pretty much set up, a lot of things that coming from overseas, they try to come at 8-foot standard. 12-foot modular width requires no escort. 14 requires 1 escort. More than 14 requires 2 escorts. 16 is maximum shipping width unless you pay for special permits, etc. In length, there is no real limitation. I have not seen anything going too far or too longer than 70 feet. The height varies by state: 17 feet in California, 15 someplace, 14 feet in Connecticut is very, very low. So we should verify heights with the local jurisdiction. Foundation growth, I mean, there is a tolerance that unfortunately we don't, our manufacturer here, they ask for at least 1 inch between mod lines, and we actually try to keep that tolerance. If you go higher, sometimes you have to adjust a little more. So the foundation grow, and we need to make sure that you actually adopt you consider that when you are designing a foundation. In terms of floor ceiling assemblies, if you have a job that actually we start not designing for modular, and you desire to go to modular, pay attention that your ceiling height, your cavity ceiling floor height is going to be about 1.9 inches or up to 2 feet. And it's going to impact all the stairs or elevator stops, etc. So that's a consideration you should do from the very beginning if you decide to go modular. We need to know the structural design is governed by code. I mean, we have to follow the same code as anybody else. The connection are very important. The building is designed as a complete building. Attention needed mod lines, and building must be stitched at connections to maintain load path. So we pretty much design the build as a, is no modular, and then go and check where the model lines are, and they start to actually make sure that actually we transfer those loads through connections. CD is completed with 2 sets of drawings. That's what we do. I mean, we like to do that. We have factory building plans and we have site build plans, and we actually make sure that we identify what is being done where. The plans specify what's provided by manufacturer as a ship to lose item versus what's provided by the on site, by the general contractor, and it will help provide. This helps construction management and administration of the job. I mean, so we pretty much try to identify who is doing what and who is supplying what. Foundations must typically raise stem wall crawl space, because when we want to transfer, even on the podium jobs we do, I mean, we create a kind of crawl space so we don't protrude the job, the podium, and actually have to do all the fire separation in several points because we have planning walls everywhere. Foundation must connected typically weld steel, and they can be hold downs on wood. Like I said, site access concerns is curves. I mean, you need to be sure that you can bring a 70-foot long module in something like that. Make sure you know where power lines, where they are. Look for the boards. I mean, and if there is too many power lines, I mean, it might not be possible to put a crane there. And you might have to have staging areas. I mean, you have too many mods coming, to a site downtown LA. I mean, you won't be able to bring everything at the same time. You gotta look for these. So also find a good, setup crew and that has experience to actually help you on that. And that's about it. I mean, I think hopefully I was not too fast, and you guys have some QA section now. Thank you. This, by the way, this by the way is a job that we did. It's our own development. Yeah, in Ocean Beach in San Diego. We brought this from Corona, from LA, about 80 miles. And these mods are very high. They actually have they are super high. You have to pay special permits. We certainly didn't do the railing on the top deck. I mean, this was done on site, but this second floor is very high. It's about 17 feet actually from the asphalt to the top. We had to survey the power lines and actually have a special permit to bring them. Only way 80 miles from us. Was very costly, but it was very beautiful. So we enjoyed this project. We think it was very nice.
Great.
One of Pedro projects that is like a special project, right? That we talk about.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Ralph, for the insightful presentation, but also for giving us a background on your length you've been involved in the industry. I think a lot's changed in the 30, 40 years, the process you've described. And also, it's interesting here that your experience started in the East Coast and moved to the West Coast in terms of, so we know the East Coast historically was the kind of heartland of modular construction. It sort of spread across the US. And one of the things, we were just having a discussion with another consultant into space, Greg Sleditsky. We were talking about the kind of, that for at least for in the East Coast, and maybe it's a little different on the West Coast, the procurement model for modular and the manufacturing process was built around having modular builders that would sell directly for single family, which really meant that modular manufacturers, this is why the permitting process works the way it does, right? It supports a kind of cultural norm that was built around a single family typology. So an owner meeting a builder, meeting a modular manufacturer. And then as we've studied and as you've alluded to, things have changed, maybe even around, we noticed that around the economic crisis, modular manufacturers, at least in the East Coast, and we're seeing in the West Coast, started to work with developers in multifamily. This was not typical and before, right? And so that, and it sounds like, it's very interesting. You guys have developed a business model in a way of very much a need that allows for the modular manufacturer to actually still continue to operate the way they used to when they were doing primarily single family. And then so you really work as an intermediary between developers, architects, and modular manufacturers. So modular manufacturers, in a way, Ralph, you're keeping modular manufacturers from having to get better because you're doing a lot of the work that in other countries like Japan, modular manufacturers actually do. and it helps them get better. So so this is a long way of asking, do you think the modular industry in the US has not changed significantly, even though the expectations and the demands have? And it's folks like you who have really changed what's possible. The modular manufacturers keep doing more or less what they've been doing. Do you think that's going to change in the future?
I think it will. I think the market will force them to react to this. There is much more awareness of the potential to build higher, to go five stories and higher. They are building Marriott now in Manhattan, 21 stories, right? And I want to see more. I mean, unfortunately, you see these big projects coming more from overseas. We are doing some in LA now that we brought from China, the mods. And the precision actually that I see from a steel box being made in China is actually much more strict than what you can see from manufacturing in the US. Unfortunately, that's true, but I think the adjustment is going to happen. And they need to. If they want to keep the game rolling in that direction, they have to upgrade.
Because you brought up developers are frustrated about not having choices. We don't have standards, and manufacturers don't want standards. They like to do things the way they've been doing it. So there seems to be a lot of. Is there other kinds of resistance though to this change within the industry that you think will have to? I mean, we understand what's coming from the outside, but what are some of the factors in the industry from your experience that's keeping it from moving forward?
Well, I think, like you said, I mean, when you have the crunch on the bubble that they didn't have any work, you would see everybody trying to do a little more. So HUD manufacturers are trying to do modular because they didn't have HUD, and the modular single family people were trying to do multi-family people because they have to go up. So I think, like I said, they will be forced to go. If the market moves, I mean, they will do it. We did a 40-story beautiful project here in California, Yucca, with a HUD manufacturer that actually, when the market came back, they said, we don't want to do this anymore. I mean, they don't want to do it because it's complicated. They're not set up like that.
Right.
And I think that's what's happened. I mean, I think that there will be some capital improvements that need to be made. They need to upgrade the line. They need to do something. But if the willingness is there, and they see as a profit center, they will do it. I mean, the problem is that everybody right now, I mean, they're busy again. Everybody's on their comfort level, and they actually start picking and choose again. It's tough to find somebody that want to do a 5-story building now. On the West
Coast. Like to,
Pedro, you want to add to that at all?
What? Pedro, go ahead.
Yeah. I can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Yeah. You want to add to that at all, Pedro?
Yeah, I would echo, what he said. These homes, in fact, were built by a HUD manufacturer. These were our own design and development. We currently own and operate these, and it was a challenge. It was a fun design. It was out of their wheelhouse. The manufacturer in this case was supposed to open a separate line for these. And we built these in 2016. So just kind of coming out of the recession. Yeah. And so that's why they were on board to do it. And then, like in the middle of it, they said, we'll never do this again. By the end of it, they said, maybe in the winter. And at this point, I've been trying to send them other projects, but they're so busy with their HUD stuff that they won't entertain really building a, not off the shelf modular project.
Yeah. So
because honestly, we're a little bit worried. I mean, I think it's good that you guys are optimistic, but you've described the situation that we see repeating itself, which is that, when it's good, when there's money, the changes are that need to be made are not made. And when there's not, these companies, these manufacturers are willing to do, these innovative projects and even innovative in procurement, and then they go back. And we've seen this happen multiple times. And so when, if the business model doesn't change, right, when you actually have money to invest in capital intensive improvements, how are we to expect the industry to change?
I expect it to be competition. I think that, we're seeing more and more of it, especially with the overseas guys. Yeah, overseas capabilities coming to the country. I think that's going to drive a lot of it.
I hate to say that, but you know what I think is going to happen is exactly what happened with the auto industry in the 70s.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when the Honda and you know,
Let's
Toyota
hope.
came from Japan and started actually doing their Kaizen and the, you know, just in time, and
Let's hope.
they Chevrolet and Ford could compete. So unfortunately, if you see, you know, we're still getting product from overseas, but there is not nobody that I know yet had set up a manufacturer with these how they build overseas here. And certainly there are differences. You know, I know in, you know, in Japan, I mean, it's different. I mean, the product is different. We like different houses, different types of things. But you're going to see somebody coming, and actually that's going to force a change. And when they
And all the developers will go, then all those developers that don't want to have a choice will go to them as opposed to.
Exactly. So I think we are going to see this in our lifetime. I'm quite sure. I mean, it's not like it's not 50 years from now. It's pretty close.
How about your scope of services? You know, I know you're a structural engineering firm, but you're also, seems like you're also doing project management. You're also doing some architectural design. You're doing other types of consulting in the modular space. So could you talk about your scope of services and how that's different and differs from a traditional structural engineering firm? And why is that with regards to modular?
Well, I think what makes us very different is the fact that I work 20 years in manufacturers. I mean, from manufacturers. I was engineer manager, director of engineering for several manufacturers. I work with basically on the Northeast with type 5, just wood frame. And then we migrated to New York City doing steel and concrete on the 90s. Very, very sophisticated buildings for prisons and and that brought me a lot of experience, you know, during, you know, the manufacturing process. So we bring this in our design, and we have now 16 people in staff. I mean, half are architects and half are structural engineers. And the architecture that we do, I mean, we certainly do our own projects. I mean, Pedro leaded the special project that we do.
Cool.
But we also, a lot of what we do is actually a translation of projects that are not modular, that they bring to us and say, can you do it? And we call that translation. Translate that project that site built into a modular concept. And so our architects are also very technical. They are not, they construction documents and things. And we create the construction documents for submittal. Construction management, we are getting more into that. I mean, we do for sure we do our own development, and we like to do that, and we actually, you know, learn from doing our own mistakes. That's good too, because we don't get the clients to actually pay for our mistakes. We are our own client in this case. I mean, Pedro can spend a little bit for sure, but why don't you talk a little bit more, Pedro, about what you do in this arena?
Yeah, I think a big part of what he missed is that the S in R&S Tavares is for Silvana, who's my mother and
she's
an architect.
Yeah. Silvana actually has a very good experience also in modular. She started at in the East Coast too. So everything we,
That's cool.
You know, we kind of do work well together. So it's very good.
Yeah, so they've been working side by side at modular manufacturers as an in-house engineer and architect, which is, you know, a powerful combo to have come through this industry. And so then when they, you know, started their firm and brought on the modular clientele, we've always been kind of equipped uniquely for this space.
And Ryan, most of our clientele is actually manufacturers. We still have a very tight relationship with them, and we are perceived as a problem solvers. When they have a problem, they, you know, we get a call. We don't get involved in the, you know, cookie cutter thing, but when they have a problem, they want to design something different. So we always my people are very excited because they don't have a day in the office that's like tomorrow, you know, yesterday. I mean, every day something different comes. And we design all type of products. We have done aluminum design, fiberglass design, even for, you know, food industry, things that actually can be actually some sort of off-site pre-made, but it's still, I mean, you know, several type of different products we can actually apply our expertise on.
Yeah. Well, we should have had your spouse on here, Ralph, as well, talking about the architectural components. So we'll have to do a follow-up interview on that one. No, it's very interesting. And there are not many businesses, I don't know of any, that exist that are equipped like your firm is and have had that kind of experience over the years. So it's wonderful to see. And I want to thank you for spending time with ModX on this network voice today, and appreciate your presentation, and we'll catch up with you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you, Ivan. Take care.